Hey everybody, I'm going to kick this off. You ready? Hello and thank you for checking into the Stuff I Heard podcast. This is your host Joshua Peak, and I have got to say we have been quite busy the last few days. For the last 6 days, my dad has been here helping me rebuild and remodel my back deck. That's D-E-C-K, not whatever spelling you want to have. Anyway, my back porch area, let's call it a porch because the deck it gets lost in translation. My back porch area was about a 14 by 14 area, and I decided I wanted to make it bigger. And we had some boards that were rotten through, and if you've heard this before, you guys are like, yeah, we know. I made it much bigger. I made it 22 by 27 roughly. We also built a pergola on it that is ginormous. I think the pergola is like 16 by 16. It's a huge pergola. It's bigger than the porch was before. It's enormous. And it's mostly done on social media and stuff like that, on Facebook and whatnot. I'm sure a lot of people are going to post pictures. Trish and Dad and Dolores, my wife, are going to post pictures of saying, oh look, it's so good now that it's done. It's not done. There's stuff that has to be done. I still have to put lattice up on top of the pergola for some shade. And I got to put lattice around the outside, around the underpinning area, just to keep critters out from underneath it. And I got to clean up all of the debris that we have dismantled and cut, and all the pieces of wood and whatnot to kind of clean that up. Now, here's the weird part is, Dad basically has my old porch on his back of his trailer. He came here with an RV and a trailer and his Prius on the back of the trailer. Now, heading back to where they're going in Georgia, Trish is going to drive the Prius, and the trailer is basically loaded up with the old wood that was my back porch. Steps, railings, decking boards, you name it. It's all on there. And, you know, that's great. He can repurpose that. He has a specific set of skills where he is going to use that wood in future projects, and already I can see his wheels turning where he's going to go, yeah, I know where that goes. And he's going to put it pretty much anywhere he wants. So, an update on my keto diet. I am down to 225, doing great. Still feeling great. I cheated today a little bit on my keto. Dad and I were out running around. I got up at 4:30 this morning and found out that Lowe's opens up at 6 a.m. and there was some stuff I wanted to go get. And I texted him and he was like, I was like, are you awake? He's like, yeah, I'm awake. I was like, can we get together and talk about what we're going to do? He's like, sure. So he came over and we headed off to Lowe's super early, and we had a load, and then we went to Home Depot and we got the stuff that we needed that Lowe's didn't have. And Dad was like, hey, is there a Taco Bell nearby? I'm really getting into their breakfast stuff. And I was like, yeah, there is. So we went by Taco Bell and we're looking at the menu and whatnot, and on the dollar menu they have these little breakfast burrito things, and I got 2 of them, and it was so good. And I've been staying away from the tortillas for the bread, and I didn't have anything to drink with it but Dad had like a giant Coke, and I was like, no, I'm not having a Coke. I stayed away from that kind of stuff, but I did have 2 burritos, and that's kind of the first cheat meal I've had in a long time. But I made a comment that I knew they were leaving today or tomorrow, and that we were going to try and get done as much as possible. I wanted to get the flooring done, the railing done, and the steps done so that when it was time for the inspection, I could get that done and there would be no problems. It was very time consuming, and thank God my neighbor Paul came over. I have a neighbor that lives diagonally from me. Paul's 76 years old, and he is a heck of a guy, man. He came over every single day and worked with us until everything was done, every single day. And Paul, I love you, Paul. Paul, you kicked butt, man. Without you, we couldn't have done this. So me, Dad, and Paul working our tails off, and at a certain point, Trish is out there driving screws in the decking for 6 hours or so, and at times Dolores is out there running around you know, moving stuff, handing us stuff, picking up stuff. It was a group project for sure. And I told them that when it was done, like I said, done is a relative term, that I was going to have a beer. Well, I decided to get a Modelo in the can. Now, this is a shout out to Greg Steele. Many of you have heard Greg Steele on other podcasts. Greg Steele is one of my best friends. When we went to the beach and we rented a condo unit, we had a place that was right outside of a pool area. And we'd been kind of hanging out and drinking a little bit and, you know, having a good time. And Greg picked up a case of, or a 12-pack of these Modelos in a can. And he said, I'm telling you what, this is the best beer to have by the pool. And I was like, I've never had a Modelo. I don't really know what it tastes like. We got in the pool, started swimming around, and he pops these out of an ice chest, and it was so good. And I was like, dude. So, for the podcast, this is a drinking podcast now. You ready? You hear that? That's the can opening. Now, obviously, I've already had a few of these. I'm going to have another one right here. This is not a paid podcast. I'm sure right now there's children watching that are going to be like, oh my God, he's drinking beer. It's okay. It's fine. My wife is laughing at me.
It's funny that you think kids watch your podcast.
She says it's funny that she thinks kids are watching my podcast.
You think kids are watching your podcast.
I think it's funny. You think it's funny. I think, whatever. Get out of here, woman. Go get your shower. See what I have to put up with? God. Bert Kreischer doesn't have to put up with this. Actually, that's a bad example. He does have to put up with this. Joe Rogan doesn't have to put up with this. I'm no Joe Rogan, but still. That's a good beer. Greg, that's a good call, man. Modelo is a decent beer. I really like it. I really like it. And maybe it's because I haven't had beer in a while, but it just tastes like happiness and sunshine and rainbows, and maybe my brain is just thinking that way because I'm finally on the finishing side of this project. I called work and I asked them if I could have 2 more days. I looked online and I figured out that I had 90 hours that I had to burn worth of vacation time that I just haven't taken. I haven't taken many days. I've been saving it. I knew we had this project coming up, and I knew that we have a Disney trip coming up that was going to take a week. And, you know, I looked online and it said, you have 89 plus blah, blah, blah hours. And I was like, okay, cool. So I called work and, you know, thank God they were like, yeah, that's fine. Just go ahead and take the other 2 days. There's nothing really pressing going on. I was like, all right, cool. But I got to finish up that last work on the decking, and I got to finish the last work on top of the pergola, and I got to start staining this thing. This thing is a mammoth size thing. Is a mammoth the right term? Monumental, immense, gargantuan. It is a gargantuan. It is almost as big as my first house was. My first house was like 800 square feet. We did the math on this one, and I think this one's right at like 450. So it's a huge porch, deck, thing. What do you call it? A porch or a deck? Anyway, it's ginormous. So, I'm gonna have to stain it, and that's gonna require a lot of stain, and it's gonna require something to put the stain on. Now, we have in the past with our tiny 14 by 14 foot porch, we have used the brush method, which is really exciting. I say that jokingly. The brushing a deck sucks. My wife and I both, you know, with cramps in our hands, just non-stop put stain on a deck and just hated it. Hated every minute of it. It was awful. A few years later, I bought one of those cheap Harbor Freight spray guns, and I sprayed it, and that worked okay. I mean, it sprayed pretty quickly. It seemed to have good coverage, but I think at some point in that year, my wife decided to go out and clean the back patio furniture with Kaboom. And I don't know what's in Kaboom, but apparently it has paint thinner in it because it stripped away whatever was in the wood and just ruined the wood underneath. It ruined the finish of whatever I put on there too. Now, I've heard that there's a difference between stain and paint, and you want to use stain and not paint, because stain seeps into the wood, whereas paint just covers the top of the wood. Maybe that's what we used that year, because the following year, I tried to use something different, and that spray gun would not spray it. It was like, ain't gonna work. So we had to get out and like physically hand brush it again, which is awful. Awful. So, I'm really considering purchasing like a decent spray gun to spray this thing with, and here's your opportunity to kind of chime in and give your 2 cents worth. Write me on the YouTube and say, hey Josh, how about try out this kind of stuff, man? It worked great for me. And if you have a YouTube video, link that YouTube video of you using it, so then I can see what it looks like and I can see how easy it is. I mean, I'm looking for a sprayer. Number 1, a sprayer. And number 2, what do I spray on it? I like a lighter colored spray. Some kind of stain that's just a little bit darker than what's currently on there. Right now it's number 2 pine, which is the most common wood for our area here in the southeast in South Carolina. But I'm looking for something that's got like a light kind of tint to it, that's going to tint it just a little bit darker. And if you have something like that, let me know. Show me the money. Show me something. Show me what I can do. Show me what's available. Just give me some feedback. Jesus. You know, it's so weird. I put out these things and I think, oh, these are gonna be something someday. Nah, it's not. Most of you guys don't even pay attention. I have a few people that chime in once in a while, but you know, I've realized that it's while it's therapeutic, kind of like Bill Burr doing his Monday morning podcast, which if you haven't heard the Monday morning podcast, you got to check out the Monday morning podcast. Bill Burr is an excellent expert at doing it all by himself, where it's just him riffing with jokes and reading emails and saying stuff like bing bye boom bye and listen, I love you, Bill, but there are moments where I can tell that you're just trying to figure out what to say next. And I get that, because when you're by yourself, there's nothing else to do. If anybody's heard Bert Kreischer's podcast where he does the pirate song, he's got an episode where he does the pirate song, and it's terrible, but it's comedically terrible. He makes his own pirate song about how if he were a pirate, he would come up with his own lyrics, and it's sort of riffing off the top of his head. It's silliness. It's funny. I like it. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. If you don't like it, then I don't know. We have problems. But if you've heard it, please let me know you've heard the pirate song. That's a good beer. I ain't gonna lie, that's a good beer. One of the things I can't find on Bert's podcast anymore, I guess it got pulled, is him and Pete Holmes doing, they did a thing at the end where they were singing songs they'd play songs that they didn't know very well, and they had to sing the lyrics without knowing what comes next. It's kind of like karaoke, but without the words. And at some point they do a Tom Petty song, Free Fallin', and they don't know the words, and it's awful. And they have fun doing it, and it's a hilarious podcast, but it's gone. Like, if you go back and try and find it now, it's not on there. There is an interview with the two of them where they're hanging out, but that's like the second one. The first one that they did was early on. It is non-stop laughter. At times, both of them say, it's like we're dancing. It's like we're dancing. Because they are riffing on each other's jokes. They are just layering things on top of each other. It is hilarious. Now, if you've heard that podcast, please let me know, because if you've got it saved, send me the link, because I've tried to find it and it's gone. Like, it's gone. That's before he ever did the video part of it, God, if the video part of it was out there, holy crap, it was so good. I laughed so hard going down the road listening to that. My dad mentioned, have you ever done a podcast and not mentioned Bert Kreischer? No, I haven't. And as a matter of fact, go check out Secret Time on Netflix. It's airing now. See what I did there? I just kind of slid that in there. He's also on tour. He's doing a tour called Body Shots. And if you check him out on his website, The Bertcast or bertbertbert.com, it'll have links to his shows. And if you go to book his venue, enter the code name SHOTS, SHOTS, and you get to save money on your purchases. I am seriously thinking about going to see him maybe in Atlanta. I think that would be fantastic. I just got to figure out which show to go to so that I can stay later and do the part where he gets to hang out with the crowd. I went before with my brother in Charlotte at the Comedy Zone, and we went to a show, and afterwards we got to have a picture with him, and that was great. And I really wanted to do a hangout thing. Like, I don't know how to hang out with him. And I don't want to hang out with him more than just telling him, you know, hey, buddy, I appreciate everything you do, and I appreciate the fact that you entertain me. And, you know, show him some love. Show him some love, you know what I'm saying? I'd want to do the same thing for Joe Rogan. You know how many hours Joe Rogan has entertained me? I mean, literally kept me captivated and awake and thinking about new things. It's like having a best friend that you've never met. It's just like that. So, anywho, just wanted to say that. I got nothing to tell you about stuff I've heard because I haven't heard a doggone thing this past week. I have been so busy with this project. I'm sitting here with a stack of receipts of going to the lumberyard, going to Lowe's, going to Home Depot, back to the lumberyard. I think I've been to the lumberyard probably 12 times this past week. I think I've been to Lowe's probably 10 times. I've been to Home Depot at least twice. 3 times, I think. Anyway, I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. And we knew we were going to spend this money. We had it set aside for this project. I'm ready for a vacation. I know I'm on vacation from work, but I'm ready for a vacation, man. This has been a rough week. Again, I'm thankful for the weather. I'm thankful for the help. I'm thankful to have my dad available to learn this stuff from. I'm thankful that Trish was willing to put up with him doing this with his son. I'm thankful for my wife for putting up with us making a mess of her house in the process and dragging in dirt and sawdust and whatnot. I'm thankful for my neighbor Paul, who came over every day and worked himself to the limit every day. I can't be thankful enough. If you're ever wondering, I'm the I love you man whenever I drink. You know how they say when people drink, they either go, I'm gonna fight you, or they go, I love you man. I'm the I love you man. That being said, cheers. If you're not drinking during this, I'm sorry, but you could have joined me. But you're probably doing something like working or driving or, you know, whatever. A couple updates. I'm going to let you know I am working on getting a P.O. box. I talked to Big Daddy 1992 and to my dad and to One Lonely Farmer about getting that done, and apparently it's not that complicated. I just have to physically do it. I got no reason not to. I also need to make one of those stickers that everybody seems super happy about. It's advertising, right? Why not? I could do that. I could come up with a design. Here, I tell you what. Let me throw this out to you, because this is something that the big shots do. And I'm not a big shot, but I got a few guys that are listening to me. If you have any kind of artwork that you want to possibly make me a sticker for, and design something and just say, hey, what about this? Just send me an idea. Send me something. I don't even know what to put on there. Do I put my Rambler? Do I put the grill? Do I put my big deck? That's D-E-C-K, deck, not. You get it. What do I put? Give me ideas. Send it in, buddy. I'll be here waiting patiently. So, I normally do 30-minute podcasts, but I'm not now. I'm going to cut this short, mainly because of the beer and because I'm exhausted. And because I got up at 4:30 this morning. And it's almost 9 o'clock at night now. So, I love you guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for participating. Please tell your friends. If you want to be a part of this, let me know. Tell me what's going on. Be part of the Stuff I Heard podcast. Tell me about stuff you heard. I mean, it can't be any worse than I'm doing, right? Or can it? I don't know. Either way. Peace out, homies. Take care.